What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Logisticalstyles coming at you with another video, and today we are doing a product review. Welcome back YouTube. Like I said, today we are doing a product review, and today we are reviewing the Harbinger LV8. This is a 8-channel mixer in the Harbinger LVL series. It's a Bluetooth mixer with 8 channels of audio input, including Bluetooth, auxiliary 1/8 input, 1/4-inch XLR combo jacks, and 2 pair of stereo 1/4-inch jacks. We're going to take a good look at this mixer, and I'll give you my opinion on it. I'll tell you right up front, I think it's a pretty good mixer. I'm glad I bought it. I purchased it to replace my Behringer Xenix mixer, and it's a mixer I had for a long time, but some knobs had broken off, and then it had some limited functionality. I needed something with a little bit more input and output and some professional outputs as well. So I decided to go with this. I was in a kind of a rush. I had a gig coming up and I just needed something. So I went to Guitar Center. Harbinger is the in-store brand for Guitar Center. So it's pretty much one of the only places you'll be able to find this stuff brand new. But I went in, I bought this for about $100. I think right now it goes for about $120, but it's still worth it even with the extra $20. It's a very simple device, but it has a lot of features that will make your life easier as a DJ. If you're not already using a side mixer, I think it's something you should really consider. It opens up a lot of backup options for you. So if you are the type of DJ that plugs their speakers directly into their controller or their mixer, well, if something happens to your controller or your mixer, you're kind of stuck out there unless your speakers have optional inputs like Bluetooth or another channel that you can add a device to. What this does is it allows you to have those options closer to you, and you're able to control your sound and tailor your sound a little bit better according to the different environments that you're in. Sometimes rooms have feedback and you may need to adjust the EQ settings, so it's nice to have that available at your hands versus at the speaker. Now I know a lot of new modern speakers have apps that allow you to control the speaker from the phone, but if you don't have that type of a speaker, then this is definitely something you might want to consider. So I'll go over the features of this really quick. In fact, I'll use the box to really kind of guide me through it so I don't miss the important stuff. But like I mentioned before, it has 2 1/4-inch XLR combo jacks. They allow you to plug in an XLR cable or a 1/4-inch cable, and they also have the ability for the XLR portion to have phantom power. So if you hit this button right here, that will give you phantom power, which is about 48 volts of power that you would need for a condenser microphone. A regular handheld microphone, you wouldn't need that, but for something like a condenser, you would need to have that phantom power. So that comes in really handy. You also have 2 buttons on each channel, 1 and 2. You have a high pass filter button, which, you know, cuts off that low end rumble. Maybe you have a microphone that picks up really loud, or it's really sensitive to the handling noise of you holding the mic in your hand. Usually that's that low end rumble, and if you hit that high pass filter, that will turn the bottom off a little bit. It'll cut the bottom frequencies off a little bit so you don't have that issue. There's also a pad button, which will bring the volume down a little bit in case you're coming in a little bit too hot. Now on channels 3 and 4, you have 2 1/4-inch inputs each channel, a left and a right. If you just go in mono, you would just use the left channel. With channel 3, 4, you also have the option to switch it to a high Z input, and that's what you would use for like a guitar or a bass if you want to hook it up. They don't have the same exact input levels as, say, a microphone or even, say, as a DJ controller. So that high Z switch right there will come in handy if you're hooking up a guitar to your mix. Channel 5, 6, another set of 1/4-inch inputs that allows you to hook up anything with a line level input. And then there is channel 7, 8, which has a 1/8 or 3.5 millimeter input, an aux input as you may call it. And it also has the ability to connect and pair with a Bluetooth device. And this is really handy because Sometimes you may need to have another sound source playing music while you or the other performers are trying to get set up, or if you're on break. It's good to be able to just play music from another device and not have to take up one of your main channels right here. Another really cool feature of this is, I mentioned that you might use a Bluetooth device or the aux input to play another sound source when you're on break. And I mention that because a lot of times when you have multiple performers going and you're doing a long set that requires you to take breaks, sometimes people feel like it's best to just turn down the volume of the channel that they're on, turn down all the volumes of the channels while they're away at break and the music's playing. Well, that's kind of a problem because then you lose your settings that you had set up. You lose the mix that you had set up previously, unless you want to go back and fine tune it again when you come back from break. Well, one thing you can do with this mixer is you can hit the solo button right here for channel 7/8. The solo button allows you to mute all the other channels without having to adjust the volume knobs and mess up your mix that you got sounding really good. You can just hit the solo button and your auxiliary device, whether it's Bluetooth or the eighth inch input, either way, it will solo that, and that will play while you're taking your break or you're away from the other channels. And when you come back, you can unsolo it and continue your set. So I think that's really, really cool. Another thing I like about this mixer is that each channel has a clip light. So you can really tell if you're coming in too hot into the mixer. You can adjust your gain back at your DJ mixer or your DJ controller. Same thing with your wireless microphone. You can adjust your gain so you're not clipping, and you don't want to have a clipping light come on because that just brings in distortion into your sound. So you want to give a pure, clean signal to your speakers, and avoid clipping is the best way to do that. Another feature that I do like about this is the fact that you have your control room outputs and you can switch it to stereo or mono. Sometimes when you're in the control room or the DJ booth, you don't want to have that stereo imaging coming across if you're using two separate speakers. Or maybe you only have one speaker for your monitor, so you just want to put it in mono so you get a consistent sound coming into your control booth. You have your master control right here. And then you have, each channel has a send knob. The green send knob is pretty cool. It can be used for a couple of things, for like using effects, outboard effects or whatever, but one thing I like to use it for, or I think it's a really handy use for, is to send out this. This controls the volume of the send output. The send output is right here. This can be the monitors that you have on stage, and maybe you have a singer or a vocalist that doesn't need to hear themselves as much, or they may not need to hear the keyboard player as much, or they just might need to only hear certain things in their monitor mix. Well, you can adjust that separate of your main volume mix. So you can send a specific mix to your monitors, and that is what these green knobs are for. There's also a return, but that's definitely used for when you have an outboard effect, because you have to send the signal out and then return back in. I don't really use that. The only time I've ever used a return was maybe use it as another input channel, because you can actually plug something into the return in and control the volume with that as well. So that's a backup channel. Now, as far as the build of it, it's plastic. It's mostly plastic. I think it's all plastic. The faceplate feels, yeah, it's plastic. But what I like about it is the way the bottom and the back is. It is all one piece. So there are no seams or anything on the bottom. And the reason I find that important is because sometimes accidents happen and you may have your mixer on the table and somebody comes in and spills a drink. The drink is not gonna, or the liquid is not automatically gonna get inside the mixer, because there are no seams. There's no places for the liquid to get in, unless it gets about 1/8 of an inch high, and then it can kind of seep into the power. But hopefully by then you've controlled the situation. So I think that was really cool. Maybe that's not what they were thinking about when they designed it like that, but I think that is a benefit of the way this mixer is. The power supply for this mixer is an XLR, a mini XLR type. It just goes into the back and it clicks into place, and you have to press a button to remove it. So I like that. It's not easy to just accidentally unplug it. So that's really important to have as well. And then one other thing that I didn't mention, in addition to having that 1/8 inch input for channel 7/8, it's got a record output. So if you have an outboard recorder, a separate device, maybe another phone or another laptop that you want to record to, you can do that. You can hook it up just by running a cable from there. The Bluetooth works really well. I've tried it. It works just as well as the Bluetooth feature on the Harbinger what is it, the V2312, or that the mixer or the speaker that I reviewed maybe a couple of years ago when they first started putting mixer boards into the powered speakers. It's got a lot of the same features plus a little bit more, well, a lot more, because it's got more channels, it's got more inputs and outputs, and it's just very handy to have. So I definitely recommend this. Even if you don't get this one, I say you should try to get an outboard mixer that you use so you can have kind of a brain for your sound system. This feeds out to your powered speakers and gives you plenty of control, so you can tailor the sound. If you have feedback issues, if you have volume issues, you can all control it from here. So I definitely recommend this. Like I said, you can get it from Guitar Center for about 120 bucks right now. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I will definitely try to answer them all. I want to thank you all for watching this channel, subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please take the time to subscribe if you like what I'm putting out. Don't forget to like the video if you like this particular video, and share it if you think somebody can benefit from it. I'm trying to get more content out, and hopefully this is all helpful stuff. So if you have any questions or any topics you really want me to look into, mention those in the comments as well, and I will do my best to address those. So this is your boy Logistical Styles, and I am signing out. Peace.